Here we go live. Hi, and welcome to Punks on Film. My name is Lawrence, a punk with toys, a punk without an Instagram channel, and this is Matthew. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all having a good night tonight.
So did anything interesting happen to you today?
Nothing as exciting as you.
Well, we will not be talking about that really, but listen, if you are following me on Instagram and you don't know, I have a new Instagram channel as of right now. It is the backup, perhaps it'll be the permanent one. It is a punk with underscore toys. The reason why I did it like that was if you start typing in a punk with, it should populate so you can find it. Rather, if I did a underscore punk underscore, you'd probably never find it. Also, I found out that APWT is taken, and the one that I was really excited was Damn It Larry was taken. I actually told random diorama that I'm like, yeah, you're gonna like this one, but Damn It Larry was actually taken. So yeah, if you are looking for me, that's where everything will be. I'm still locked out of that account. Oh, look, and random shows up right away. Look at
Hey,
that.
speak of the devil.
Absolutely love it. Uh, yeah, so you can find me there. I mean, it's already at like 150 subscribe, like 150 people have already like shot over there. So again, I know there's not a lot of people.
Nolan.
Not everyone is on either Facebook or have seen it because the page is still up. So if the page is still up, you're probably seeing it, still thinking that I'm there. Man, I got so many messages on there that I don't like. I don't know what to do. That's the problem until I get the thing
Yeah,
back. So many messages between people, and obviously there's other people that you talk with, but
yeah.
you're not like friends with them. So guys like Lenny, you know, and I can't tell you how many people started hitting me up like, "Is this you?" And what's really weird about the whole thing is Instagram doesn't tell you that you're blocked or anything, but if someone sends me a message, it populates on my phone. So I can see someone message me. So I had a few
Yep.
people message me there asking, "Is this really you?" I'm like, I can't, I
Yeah, you can't
can't
even
see
respond
it.
back to him.
So, oh well.
Yeah.
You know what? Some people, that's how they are. They can, they sure have, if they spend more time not lying about shit, maybe, just maybe, no one would bother them and go down that road. But oh well.
Yeah. Hey, good evening, Nolan and Ed. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yep, we got Nolan in the house here, and we got Action Figs, also known as Ed, who I guess technically is a moderator of this channel also. Dustin and Jeffrey, nice to see you.
All right.
So,
So, have you been watching anything lately?
what have I been watching? I started watching Invincible again,
Yeah.
like season two.
Yeah.
I can deal with that because I tried watching the boys one,
Mm-hmm.
not the
The
boys, but
V, Generation V.
yeah. And the first episode was just blood and guts, and I didn't need to see it. It was just too much. Everyone said after the first episode is better. I think I can deal with Invincible more, even though it's
Mm-hmm.
probably more graphic, but it's just cartoon. So, but
Yeah.
it's actually really good. And again, more multiverse stuff.
Yeah, I've heard good things about season 2 of Invincible. I might get around to it at some point. We've been just watching Bass Reeves Lawman, which that show's been pretty good.
I've been watching that. I haven't watched the last episode or two though.
Mm. And
Uh,
then we've also been watching Monarch.
what is Monarch?
So it's the company that tracks Godzilla around the world.
Yes.
Um, and we've actually been kind of engaged in it. It's kind of good. I see a lot of people don't like it very much, but I think it's interesting, but I am going to go see Godzilla -1 on Saturday, so I'm excited about that. And Reacher came back tonight, so
Oh, did
I'm
it?
excited
Oh,
about that.
I'll be
Yeah,
watching that this weekend then.
yeah, for sure.
'Cause that I really liked, because I like the movies and I like the TV show, and it's completely different because
Oh
obviously the
yeah.
actors are just obviously two different people. They don't look the same or anything. Only one has a tooth down the middle, but the other one is jacked up on so many steroids. But again,
Hey
I think it makes
now.
it good. I mean, listen, I'm not criticizing. I'm just merely stating because it is true. Um,
The TV series sticks much closer to the books, and the movies were just something else entirely.
yep, and that's exactly what I have heard. So let's quickly say hi to Carol's joined us, and we got crusty old crow just dropping by to hit that smash button. Thank you very much. If you
Thank
haven't
you.
yet, hit that like button. It's much appreciated. Hockey Town Arcade. Hey y'all, new sub, first time catching live. Gonna listen on my way on my way and while at work. Well, just so you know, this is not about toys. This is about movies, and we'll be discussing Christmas Story. But Monday nights, obviously, we'll be back talking about toys, or I will, as we do. Well,
He means a Christmas Vacation. Just to be
yes,
clear,
I'm
not
sorry.
a Christmas Story.
Christmas Vacation. Damn it, I did slides for the wrong thing. Um,
That's a different movie.
um, but yeah, so just stay tuned because we will get to toys. There's always one person that comes in and they want to ask me about the GI Joe in the middle of either this or Thursday with a friend, and you kind of let it go long enough, hoping that they will like see like, oh, this is different. Usually
Yeah.
Matthew will be like, hey, that's not what this is really about. We had the one guy that was like, okay, cool, I'm out. Like, okay, like that was cool.
Yeah.
Like, but what else have I watched? I did watch everything always at once.
Yeah. Everything. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good movie.
I was I don't know. It was too
It's
much.
weird.
It was too much for me. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I think Tony asked me. He's like, "What is it about?" I go, "It is literally about everything always at once." Like,
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
yeah,
Yeah.
when you watch the movie, the name makes sense.
I like the storyline with it. I love all the craziness with it. I love that kind of stuff. We're actually just now finishing up Doom Patrol. Also, the last season of that is one of the wackiest shows out there. It's not for everybody for sure, but we enjoy it.
That's one thing I'm disappointed I don't have Max anymore because that has. I mean, Max has a lot of shows. Although I will say this, a lot of those movies have been shifted over to Netflix.
Do you know why?
Because they need the money.
Because Warner Brothers is smart, and they're the only ones that are making money on their streaming service right now because they are continuing to license Warner Brothers properties out to other streaming services,
It makes
um,
sense.
and and all of the other ones are keeping everything proprietary and not licensing anything out. And so now Disney Plus is putting ads on because they can't make any money, and so all the tiers will include some form of advertisement.
Yeah, and I mean I've had the ads for forever. Well, not forever, but for a while on Disney Plus because it just started getting too expensive. And I heard someone else mention about the ads, and they were like, "Listen, we come from an old generation. Commercials are nothing. You
Yeah,
get up and you go get your drink or get something to eat, whatever. Go to the bathroom. Like we're of a generation where we know it. It's the younger
the
generation that they go nuts about it.
The only problem is that the television shows are no longer designed for commercial breaks, so it's
That
a
is
real
true.
awkward transition.
Yeah, but again, for us, we're like, whatever. At least for me.
Yeah,
I mean, don't get me
yeah,
wrong. I'd rather not have them and pause it when I want to. But
right.
at the same time, when you start adding up, there was Jim Rome was doing a thing today. He is what's your beef, and one guy wrote, "My beef is with." eh, My beef is that there's 9 different shows on 9 different networks, so I have to buy 9 different things. Come on, someone come up with one service that puts them all together. I'm like, that is so true.
It's called Amazon Prime because you can order all those other services through Amazon and
But
watch everything through there.
but you're still
There will
paying,
be there will be a package bundle deal at some point when they get desperate enough. They will
yep,
do that.
and that'll be good, and that'll be good for everyone. So
Yep.
Okay, so quickly before we get in the movie, I want to say hi to you, JLS Comics, who
Hey,
puts out wonderful content. Um, and
Jesse's video is always awesome.
Allison Troy, who I will be on. I do believe we're going to be getting on in the end of January. I still got to talk to you about it because she asked for a January date. And Fatrid
Awesome.
is here, and Jason. And so let me mention really 22 of you guys watching right now. Listen, my Instagram got shut down. So go follow me over at a punk with underscore toys. Once you start typing it in, it should populate. Um, we'll be backing up and running. And if the other one comes up, then I'll just have a backup. And, I'll use one of those to attack people. So anyway, she said, yep, sometime in January. Let's try and do the end of January because the 15th, I believe, I'm going to be on the first episode of Hella Dope Toys. So,
Oh, nice. Okay.
and Allison, I love you, but I am not doing 2 streams in one day again. I did your stream, and then I went on with Brick, and my God, you're just like, how are people doing? How do people jump from one stream to the other? It is exhausting. I do like 3.5 hours of streaming on Monday night, and I'm just like, nope, this is too much for
Well,
me.
there is a show that I watch on Saturdays sometimes that's every frame a pause. It's called EFAP, and they go for 8 to 12 hours breaking down every fine detail about something.
Oh my gosh, that is way too much. Um, yeah, I just and again, like I guess if you like left one stream and you just went right into another, but with having the break and obviously do other things, I don't get how people do it. Like you know, and people do like streams right in the middle of the day, and you're like, middle of the day, good lord.
Yeah, I don't know, but
But
some
technically,
people do.
Allison is doing it early. It's middle of the day for me, but not everyone can be in my time zone, I guess. Assholes. All right. Well, let's get into the movie. Um, Before we do, Matthew and I were discussing it, and this is a lot of work on both of us. I think you would agree with this, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
So I think. I think you and I thought the same thing. Like this is gonna be really easy. We're gonna watch the movie and take a couple notes, and next thing you know, we're gonna talk about it, and stream's gonna be crazy. And the next thing you know, 6 hours later, taking notes, pause, writing stuff down, then sitting in a chair, you're like, this is way too much. So what I had proposed is kind of how we did this one, where we ranked all of the Christmas movies. I think we're gonna do the same thing for movies. Let's say we'll do like Michael Bay. We'll put a whole bunch of Michael Bay movies in. We're gonna go through, rank whichever one people think are the best, and then that's the one that we'll watch, and we'll go from there. I think we can get more than enough out of that between
yeah.
Arnold movies, Stallone movies. Hell, maybe if we did a Harrison Ford movie, someone could get me to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark. I can't promise anything.
Well, I mean, we need to catch you up to speed on several of these movies that you haven't seen that are
You know
crucial.
what? And hey, you know what? Maybe there's just a day, like, hey, we want to do this movie,
Yeah.
so we'll do it. I'm not opposed to that. Just believe it or not, this thing. Again, I thought it was going to be super easy. Oh, I've seen this movie 100 times. Man, you don't realize how much you actually missed until you sit down and start going through it. And you're like, son of a bitch, man. And then you're like, why aren't there pictures all over the internet of this? Why is the shower scene so damn hard to find?
I wonder why.
So we are doing Christmas Vacation. Now,
And down south joined us too. It's good to see you, bud.
so before we start, I want to say this. I really like this movie, but when I watched it again, I was like, you know what? The funny parts are really funny, but there's a lot of down parts that are just
Uh,
like if I watch Elf, I don't get that. But like this, I'm
yeah.
like, there's a lot of down parts because you're expecting everything to be drop dead funny the whole time, and I didn't.
You have to have the pause, the breaks to make the humor worthwhile. and they're also kind of telling a story here. And one of my things about this movie is that I really appreciated is that if you live long enough, you've probably experienced just about every one of these moments at
Yes.
some point in your holiday season.
Yeah, and again, it's a good movie, so I'm not. But again, I'm watching it differently as I'm trying to take notes.
Yeah.
So again, that may skew everything. Where I may just sit back, relax, and watch it, and be like, "All right, you know what? I should not have said that." But it's just one of those things where it's like you're watching it. Hell, I might watch Elf and be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, this has a lot of down." I don't know if there's that much down with anything that Will Ferrell's in. He's pretty much
Yeah.
always going. So that was just something that I had kind of noticed. But all right, so let's put it up. And I kind of forgot the beginning starts as this.
Well,
Like,
this was like a John Hughes thing too, because you look at some of the Better Off Dead and uh,
yes,
yeah, all those movies. They had a little bit of animation in front, which I thought was always really cool.
it was the 80s. People were scared of getting nuked by the USSR back then, plus bad economy. You must be talking
Yeah.
to somebody. Um, um, yeah, you're absolutely right. I didn't even think about that. It was like the John Hughes, where, uh, especially Better Off Dead. Oh, such a good movie.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool. And then I believe it or not, I couldn't find a screenshot where the Griswolds are the only ones that aren't checked off. Which I had almost, kind of forgotten. But yeah, so it's
Well,
interesting
and
how to
then
see about the.
this whole animation kind of sets up everything because it's Santa Claus, and no good deed goes unpunished in this beginning animation here.
Yeah. And Ed says, "Who would have ever thought we'd see Lawrence comparing Elf to Christmas Vacation?" Well, there's Santa in both of them. All right, and then I got all my notes over here. So, I guys, just so you know, I didn't do nearly as many pictures as I have in the past because, I'm going to be done at a certain time today.
Yeah.
So it pretty much kicks off with them in the car, and I think what you said, and this doesn't just apply to Christmas, but yes, we can all remember being a kid driving somewhere with our parents, being bored out of our minds, and I think everyone here remembers not having cell phones.
Well, and I remember distinctly because we didn't do this every year, but there was a couple years where we actually did go out to a tree farm to cut down our Christmas to go pick it out and cut it down. It wasn't like their experience at all, but at the same time, I remember driving out to the middle of freaking nowhere.
Uh, I can say that we've never done that. I do remember having a real Christmas tree a few times, but not driving out to a farm to get it. It was just like my dad got it, and I think he hated them because of all the pine needles and everything that would be all over. And let's be honest, those things are horrid.
Well, and then I also remember from A Christmas Story that kind of experience of picking out the Christmas tree too.
Yeah. um, and there's a good amount that happens here. So you get the guy that says,
Well, you've got your typical, road rage incident that's happening here. The machismo type of road rage stuff with the hillbillies.
and I have to say, you really see how far pickup trucks have gone when you're looking at this pickup here. It does have the typical um, gun rack in the back, as you can see. This is actually the first time I noticed that. But I found it funny. It's like this guy is riding his ass for absolutely no reason other than for it to fit into the movie.
Yeah.
Um, was there a movie before this that really dealt with someone riding someone's ass? I don't really remember. I know I know we've had numerous movies that do it, but
Yes, it's called Duel, and it was one of Steven Spielberg's first movies, and it's a 1970s movie all about this guy trying to pass a semi truck, and the semi truck getting pissed that he passed him and hunting him down. and it's just this road rage. It's a whole movie about road rage.
Wow. And Chaz the Guru chimes in saying one of the best movies of all time. I watch it every year at least once. Also, I would like to say, anyone that is watching, please do not notify anyone that I am using these pictures that might want to ban the channel. We anyway. So yeah, this guy's just riding the ass, and as like Ed already said, he said, "Hey, look, kid's deer," and he flips them off when they try and pass him. And then we get Clark, who somehow doesn't notice that he's going
well,
underneath.
because he's arguing with his wife, right? She's trying to get him to calm down, and he's like, "I've got this all under control." And then boom. Yeah, I agree. Down South Duel is a great movie. It's creepy. It's a thriller, suspense thriller.
And I have to say here, you really had to work to make this truck that high. Because most people that have driven next to a semi, even something like this, knows.
Well, you notice it's a logging truck, right?
Yeah.
So generally those logs do sit a bit higher. So if it was a regular semi, it would have clipped the top of that thing off.
But also, that car there is still a pretty big car.
Yeah.
Like those things sit up pretty high. But this is one of those funny, it gets right underneath it. Like, you know exactly kind of what's going to happen. It fits perfect. They're all screaming about, and they're still arguing about it. That's what's even better. They're still arguing.
Well, of course, they got to argue about it, and then the mom's sitting there praying, and then they just decided let's go and get out.
Which leads right into the Dukes of Hazzard jump.
Oh yeah, that thing would have that air would have destroyed that car. And you know what? Those things were heavy, so they had to do some interesting modifications to make it do that.
The Taurus station wagon, yeah,
yes,
yeah, those are heavy cars. All right, they're still on the road. You still see them.
And I like the ones with like the wraparound captain's chairs in the back or whatever.
Yeah,
for the kids to all sit in so they can act like they're in a spaceship or something.
And you have to say about the car, people kind of forget that they had this car. They always think of the original car, but they still put like the wood trim across it, so it gave you that old feel to it.
Well, they wanted that wood paneling, that woody type of feel from those type of cars, yeah.
Because everyone wanted that. But then he ends up in I don't have anything in the tree farm. They end up right at the tree farm, which Clark
perfect parking. Yeah. Nothing happened. Let's just go get our thing.
He acts like it's planned perfect.
Yeah.
They find the tree, which is fairly large.
I can't figure out why he thought that would be okay, but whatever. And then his son has to point out, could you bring a saw? So somehow they ripped the freaking tree out of the ground, which they couldn't have done without serious heavy equipment, and strapped it to their car.
You think that someone would have had a saw they could have used, but
well, and you know what, but maybe Commando was walking by and he just picked up the tree for him and put it on his
he was on his way back from the woods, and but he didn't want to use a saw that he was holding in one hand, so he set the log down on his shoulder. He pulled that one out and was like, "Here you go."
Yep.
I like Jealous Comics here. It looks like Homer Simpson designed that car. So you say that, and all I think of is what was it, El Dorado? When he buys the El Dorado, that big, huge, and they have the whole song to it. What's funny about that is that makes me think of not the remake, but the one where it's supposed to be their kids with Ed Helms, and they rent that big car that has rearview mirrors on both sides. I was thinking, I'm sorry, it's Canyonero. Sorry, yeah, Crescio. Canyonero, and
yeah.
Oh yeah, so they pull it out, and then oddly enough, I found a picture, but then I didn't see it again. But they're driving home with this thing on it. They couldn't see out the back, and they can't see out the front. They never
Yeah,
addressed
yeah.
that.
Well, and the tree that they were looking at was 4 times the length of their car, so they had to do some kind of trimming before they got it there too.
Yes,
And
it was John Matrix.
John, yeah. Well, and then the next scene is the work conflict that they start in there. You get to meet all of Clark's work buddies, all the jerks that he works with. And then they, go to him wanting a family. They talk about the bonus, so the bonus
Yeah,
thing gets dropped. And then you go back to the family, and then Clark's just saying he wants the perfect family Christmas, and his wife's trying to warn him, that's a lot of work. She's trying to display those little subtle hints that, hey, this is a lot. Just be ready for it.
but he's had. He's never had any issues with his other movies. Everything's worked out smoothly. So why would this be a problem? um, and then you get him, and he comes out with the Jason mask, which is absolutely perfect. Even looking back at it now, like this was just so perfect. And he's not protecting his eyes, but he is protecting, his face.
Yeah.
So that's something, right?
I,
um,
and I love him talking to the neighbors too.
yes, he just revs the saw.
Well, no, he's like, where are you gonna put that tree? Da, 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 da. And he's like, why don't you
Yes.
bend over and find out? And the guy's like, how dare you talk to me like that? I wasn't talking to you. And he goes back to working.
um, and they do such a good job of their character of how they act.
Oh yeah,
Such
the
a good
yuppies,
character to be
the
the two
yuppies next
snobs.
door.
Yeah. So then you have them in bed. And I gotta say, throughout all these movies, she's pretty hot. She might be
Well,
the
yeah,
mom, but she's hot throughout all of them.
her Christmas Eve outfit was really inappropriate to wear. We'll get there.
I never noticed that till watching it this time, and I was like, "Good
How could you
lord!"
not? How could you not?
But
I like
here,
this scene because he's got the sap stuck to him, so he's sticking to everything.
yeah. But yeah, she's pretty much saying, talking about the mothers being there and everything. I can only imagine what would turn you off more, being in bed with with your significant other than talking about moms.
Yeah.
But hey, to each their own, I guess. Um, and then he shows up, and this is where he's like talking to the guy, and he's telling him, he's waiting for the bonus. And this is what he tells him. He's like, "You're the last true family man, Clark."
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm sorry. I don't know who the actor is. I've seen him in 100 things. He always plays some slime ball.
Every time.
So I'm watching this, and I'm just waiting for him to be just that, a slime ball. And I'm like, no, he never is a slime ball in this.
Well, not exactly. Remember, they're all in sales.
Well, okay. True point. If my owner is ever watching this, not about you though. Oh, that's why. Thank you, Down South. Down South is watching this on Punks on Film, and I was trying to figure out why his
Yeah.
why his comment hasn't shown up over here on YouTube. And it's because he's watching it over there. So Down South, if you wonder why no one's commenting or responding to you, it's because they're all over here. But really, I want you all over there. If that makes sense. So I just wanted to kind of throw it in here. Like I said, he's not really being a slime ball, but you're right. He's sales, so he is kind of a slime ball.
Well, and yeah, well, he does make a comment later about, hey, a delivery guy came by my house, but he didn't know what it was yet.
Yeah. Chad says the house by me in the Meridia, California, decorates like the Christmas vacation house. Even has a station wagon on the lawn, but probably doesn't have snow because you're in California. You people with lights out that it's not cold, and I don't get it. Just seems wrong. Decorating palm trees with lights. Um, so there's so much to pack in this
Oh,
very, very short
uh,
scene.
phrasing, Lawrence, phrasing. Yeah, yeah, Mary, that's my name. No shit.
in and this is one of those parts that it just flows. It is very natural. Um, all the mistakes that he's making, uh, whether or not it's meant to come off like this, you could tell she's heard these things 100 times,
Yeah,
but she keeps going along. Um, and she's being very professional until she shows the no lines. I would say.
yeah,
Um,
yes. Right in front of his son, too.
well, in front of the whole the whole store, to be honest. And
Well, yeah. I mean, how many people do you think would stop and watch this little display when
um,
she did that?
a couple.
A couple, yeah.
And here's pretty much the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, he goes through the whole thing. He pretty much implies that his wife is dead, and then
Oh
that she's
no,
not.
she's not dead.
Yeah.
We're just not together.
And again, someone had already put this together for me, and she shows like the line, and Rusty shows up there, and when he's like, "See, you can't even see the line, Rusty," and then it's when he kind of realizes he's up shit.
Oh wait, yep.
And also, if you guys didn't realize who Rusty is, now they always change the Rusties.
Yeah.
Rusty is from The Big Bang Theory.
Yep. Yeah, he's from
And
Roseanne, dude.
he's from Roseanne, and then he's back from yeah, Ashfest. Can't see the lines, can you, Russ? And you know what? We've all done something like where we've responded to someone not thinking that they're right next to us.
Yep.
Hopefully, it's not your significant other.
Well,
And then,
and you know who the sister is, right?
yeah, she used to be married to a professional skateboarder that owns the barracks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But you didn't think I was going to go there.
No, don't know that one, but that's good.
Oh,
Yep, Johnny Galecki. Yep.
yeah. Yeah, she used to be married to Steve Barra of the Barracks, which I thought was super. He was an actor for a really short bit. He gets killed in I forget what TV show it was. And I was like, oh my god, Steve Barra's an actor, and he gets hit by a bus. So if anyone remembers, someone in, believe they were in rehab, and he walks out and gets hit he gets hit by a bus, not on purpose.
Yeah. Well, I'll always remember her from Dusk Till Dawn and the delusion that the one brother had, Gecko brother had.
So I'm gonna say I have seen Dusk Till Dawn, but I don't remember anything about it.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
been a
She had a nice little seductive line that she didn't actually say, but he thought she did, and just proved how much of a psycho he was.
it's so JLS says she was on A Team too. It's kind of funny. I'm like seeing JLS post this. I'm like, does he have like a 20-minute video going over all the places, all the movies and TV shows she's been, breaking down her career? Because he does such a good job of it. I'm like, I can just see him like start like chiming in. And you're like, you did one of these, didn't you? So right away we kind of see when they open the door for the parents being there, basically the conversation they were having in bed.
Yeah.
And you see,
but in this whole scene, when they show up and everybody realizes that they're here, there's a lot of subtext going on and under the breath conversations that you're like, yep, that's exactly the way most people feel.
Yeah, and again, it's such a trope to do. Like the parents are always going to be completely different, but I think it really works here. They all pretty much think Clark's an idiot. But obviously, like his parents like him, and the other ones you can tell just don't give two shits about him.
Yeah.
Also, I do believe the one guy is from Grumpy Old Men, which that was a movie that I didn't want to go see, and I saw, and it was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
That was so good, and again, it's so relatable in many ways. Other than we're not that old.
It's called movie timing, but they tend to do that. But yeah, if you tell people to arrive at a certain time, they might just show up at that time because some people do that, I guess.
That's probably the most unrealistic thing in the whole movie, right there.
Yeah.
The people showed up on time.
Well, and then they all showed up together. Maybe they all got dropped off in the same bus from the old folks' home. I don't know. So going back to that picture just real quick, my sister's mother-in-law is just like that red-haired woman there.
Yeah, well, that's the
so
Everybody
funny.
Loves Raymond, the Allison already.
Yeah. Yep.
Allison has pointed out.
Yeah.
I don't really remember the other mother in anything or the other father.
Oh, no. Both of the fathers have been in all kinds of stuff.
It's like, well, I recognize him, but I can't think of anything that he was in. The other two,
Yeah.
I can totally. Obviously, I already mentioned Grumpy Old Men.
So which one? His father or her father?
Her parents, I recognize.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
parents, I recognize, but I can't place where, like, what movie I've seen them in. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, he did a lot of stuff in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. Which we've already addressed it. I don't know anything from then. So this might be a little out of sequence, but next thing we get him, like, he's
No,
putting the
that's the next thing. Yeah.
so he's putting the lights up. And anyone that's never ever used a staple gun, there is that little spot in the middle, so you can staple around things. I would not really suggest putting too many staples around electrical work, especially if it's on, let's say, aluminum siding.
It's not the brightest thing. I mean, I could see it being stapled to some of the wood paneling that's over there or something like that.
Yeah.
But put it on the aluminum siding.
Now he goes a little overboard, where it's like every few inches he's stapling this down.
Yeah.
And you see exactly what's coming. That he staples his shirt to it. She has to pull off. The giant light bulbs are hilarious because what we get now with nice tiny LED lights, which are nice because they don't ever burn out.
Unless you buy them from China, because those burn out all the time, and we have all kinds of problems with those. And they fade, and they.
Well, Matthew buys his Christmas lights from China. We found that out.
I don't buy them from China. They're just made there, and it's garbage because LEDs aren't supposed to burn out, but they do, unfortunately.
Yeah. So Ed points out he's in China. He's in China. He's in Chicago. It's windy there.
I get it. That's why you don't do inflatables there, right?
Yeah, and down South Point, could you imagine that house with LEDs? That would be very bright.
There's this show called the Great Christmas Light Fight that's on almost every year, and they do the craziest, most obnoxious displays you could imagine for Christmas lights, and they sometimes. So if you want to see Griswolds to the end with new technology, that's where you see it.
But this scene is pretty damn funny. He's fighting to get it off. Everything kind of moves, but
crazy.
During the process, we have this, and I thought this exchange is hilarious because he's like, she's like, I hope he falls off and breaks his neck, and Todd. You can't say Todd without sounding stuck up. Todd.
Yeah, Todd's just one of those names.
Unless you say Uncle Todd.
Sorry, Todd.
Uncle Todd and McFarlane. when he's like, "Oh, I'm sure he's gonna fall off. We're not lucky enough to have him break his neck." I was like, that is something I would have said to my ex. Like if we came out and saw someone doing something stupid, we couldn't. Like that's exactly what I
Yep.
would have said. I don't like to think of myself as being stuck up, but maybe I am now that I think about it. And here we
Yep.
have the daughter saying how she doesn't want to share a room with her share a bed with her brother. I don't know why they couldn't sleep, like one could sleep on the couch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's all kinds of other options
Yes,
that you could have done there.
the floor,
Yeah.
the car.
Well, and yeah, and clearly, I believe they later on they show a bunk bed. So wouldn't that been the best spot to put the kids and let the grandparents stay in the other bedroom? Anyway.
Buy him a hotel.
Yeah. Right. Something. I mean, it can't be that bad to just get a little motel down the street and bust them over in the morning.
So I'll show up at the same time. But this here is like this is the perfect mom that just they don't want to do it.
Yep.
And well, I don't know what to say except it's Christmas and we're all in misery.
Well, and then she lights her cigarette, and of course, somebody comments right away, "Are you smoking again?" It's like, no.
Just so you know, these were all gifts until I guess I put them up on StreamYard and then they stopped being gifts. So
Oh, yeah.
they're not supposed to look like this. I just happened to like 3 in a row. And this one was perfect. So here he is. It's getting later, and he.
This is amazing. I love this. This
Yes.
takes me back to what was it? There's a Tom Selleck movie where he made a plastic knife or something. This reminded me of that for some reason. But anyway.
Oh, Fatrid says, Lawrence, you're in Michigan. Sorry, you stuck up. And then says, I'm in Wisconsin. I'm a Wisconsin native. It's a state thing. You're just probably upset because Wisconsin always got their ass beat by Michigan. Anyway. Dude, it's true. Anyway,
well, there he goes.
Yep, still hanging the lights on the rooftop at night.
Well, so remember what his wife said. Are you just doing this to avoid, interacting with everybody? And he didn't answer. He just kept on his way.
Yeah, it's his idea to have everyone there. It's his idea to have everyone here. Yet he's not.
Well,
he's not participating.
He's thinking the big picture. He's thinking everybody can come out and see the lights. Everybody can be at dinner. Everybody can be there when we open presents. He's not thinking about all of the crap that happens in between those things.
Yeah. But this, again, the sequence of this is, I think it's really good. It's funny. It is done absolutely right. He's holding on to this. And I'll say this. This is not one of those things that this is not one of those things that you saw coming.
Like well, so you kind of miss it. We glossed over it real quick with the ladder thing that happened with the staple with the sleeve.
When
as he ripped the sleeve up, and he goes backwards and hits the tree and then pushes off the tree and comes back. So he doesn't fall and break his neck because they weren't that lucky. And so they're kind of setting up the falling off the roof thing.
And Ed does point out it's also December, so dark at 4:45. You are correct. And Fatrid, I said Michigan, not Detroit. And believe me, I'm well aware of Detroit's issues with the NFL. The world is now. But I don't think anyone saw this coming. Like, they knew he was going to fall. But the fact that they made an icicle a heat-seeking, or shall I say
stereo-seeking.
Yeah. Which is a very large stereo in the bedroom.
Well, it was a loft. It looked like a loft type of setting up there, too. So it was a weird kind of setup. So, like, the bed and the stereo, that was like the whole upstairs was that one room, I think. So
But it goes shooting right through the window into the stereo. And I don't think at the time anyone really assumed like was gonna figure out like, oh, it's just gonna melt. So there's not gonna be any evidence of it. So the evidence is absolutely gone. By the time that Todd and Morgul come back, which I'm not sure if I have any. I don't think I have any pictures of that. Um, so look at the first time of him trying to start it.
And you see him getting frustrated. They're not working.
And he doesn't get it on here. That sounded wrong, but
Phrasing.
yes, I was wrong there. That was yeah, I'm just trying to make sure here. Yeah, so he tries to turn the light on.
Yep.
He's not able to get it, get the thing to come on. And he did call everyone out, didn't he? Did he call everyone out originally?
Yeah. He wanted everybody to come out and see it, and they all come out, and he tries to do it, and nothing happens, and he can't figure out what's going on, and they all kind of go back in.
And this is where you see Audrey get kind of aggravated with her mom's mom.
Yeah.
And she's like siding with her dad, like, Dad worked really hard on this, which is what a daughter would probably do.
Yeah. I think that's the later part, but yeah.
Yeah, like I said, there's two parts that are very similar.
Yeah. Now we get the trapped upstairs thing.
So
I don't understand this at all, but
no, why he's hiding things so deep in the attic where people clearly aren't going.
And well, yeah, I mean,
and the pride's already wrapped.
I mean, they've got a great attic. They've got a lot of cool stuff up there, but they also have no insulation in their house.
You know what? I never thought of that. I didn't really think of that. But you know what? I will say this: when I get insulation blown in, it used to be only have to be like R19, and now it's like R33 that needs to be put in.
Right.
And he is walking on board, so.
Well, but then he decides not to for some reason.
Well, he is for a while, and he keeps smashing him in the face. So of course, like he goes up there to really deep to hide this. Finds a Valentine's gift from
1985 or something.
I think it was earlier than that.
Okay.
It's all dust on it. He blows it off. They never show what's in it, do they?
No, they don't.
And then the mother shows up, or the mother-in-law, and doesn't think that, hey, these steps might be down for a reason. And no one realizes
it's just blowing cold air, so she closes it.
And she doesn't associate that Clark isn't there, so maybe that's who was up there.
She doesn't care about anybody else. It's cold.
And with that said, if there's no insulation, how did they not hear him yelling for everyone? So
I love how he digs out all the old clothes, and that's what he finds to throw up there, his grandma's mink and
But before this, he tries to yell out, but they're already in the car. So he dresses up here.
Well, and that whole conversation, I actually love that whole conversation. Is like, Grandpa's like, I gotta eat. Let's go. It's like he can eat. There's another car. He can follow behind us. I don't care. And everybody's thinking about what they need.
Now, have you ever left your house like that as a group and just ignored someone? Like, they'll just make it. Like, doesn't somebody go in and find them? That's what you have kids for, that they can run in there.
And that goes back to my same issue with Home Alone.
Well, as we discussed, I guess leaving an adult is way different. But they knew that he was leaving them. They didn't realize they were leaving Macaulay. Or whatever his name was. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, anyway.
I hate that movie. So, what doesn't make any sense here is that he falls through the ceiling. At that point,
onto the bunk bed, which I mentioned earlier. So there was a bunk bed, and now there's
yes.
a hole there, and he could have easily climbed through that hole.
Yeah, you've already ruined the ceiling, right? So
You've already got to replace that anyway. Yeah.
I
The
mean,
other thing I don't understand is, I know those attic things. You can still push it down. I'm just saying.
I have one too, and you are absolutely correct. He's like jumping on it, and it's not coming up. He has power up
Yes,
there.
we know, but we didn't want to invoke his name.
And whiskey Tango Foxtrot has shown up. He said we should have done Violent Night. Such a good movie. Well, if that would have been voted the #1 Christmas movie, we would have done it. Why do you even have that ugly ass thing?
Because it's going to make some cool photos. And I got it on deep discount. Like, it was cheap as hell.
Cheap as hell stuff that you don't really need is still costing you money.
Wow.
I mean, I'm telling you that, but it still doesn't keep me from buying stuff. So do as I say, not as I do. But he has power up there so he can watch these old Christmas movies, which maybe you should have looked for like a space heater up there or something.
Well, hey, those old projectors, they produce some heat, so maybe that was helping.
Maybe there's other than you've already put a hole in the ceiling, why not just crawl through it? But
and you notice what he did when he punched the hole in the ceiling too. He like started warming his hands at the heat coming up from the floorboards. So why wouldn't you just stay there?
I can only imagine how cold it is up there too.
Oh yeah,
like being here in Michigan, and like I've had to go up in my attic, and mine's not really big, but it's it's cold as shit.
Yep.
And then they come home, and someone opens and he just falls right out. Like he's sitting on
because he put the chair on top of the. Anyway, so many.
Again, there are a few flaws in this, but hey, I guess it would make for the movie. So okay.
And then he goes out to do more lights because he's got to set up the Santa Claus and stuff. And this is when the wife brings up the point: are you just doing this to avoid the family, and because you're so stubborn? And he just keeps on going.
And what Allison says, the hole isn't big enough for Chevy Chase's ego to fit through.
Again, okay, you know what? Yeah.
Again, Allison, it's a movie, so they could have made it that he didn't have a big ego. He didn't really have to fit through it, Allison. But that is a very good point. I mean,
movie sets, they're not complete houses. They're cutaways.
Yeah, I mean, as many good movies and funny things as he's done, the people of Community did not have a lot of nice things to say about him.
No. Most anybody who's worked with him over his career talk about how difficult he was to work with. So
yeah, but you cannot deny how amazing of an actor he was. There's, no,
he had some amazing roles.
Listen, everything in movies is real. Yes, if you've read it on the internet, it's true too.
No, Allison, everything in movies is real. REEL.
Yeah. I hate when Allison puts up facts that you just can't dispute. Like,
yeah, right.
Again, it's like when someone says, "Oh, well, I read on the internet," and you're like, "Oh, well, and in that case." So there he is trying to get the lights up. And here we see her like again.
Well, so first the mother-in-law, he's out there and he's plugging stuff in, and the mother-in-law flips the switch on to look in the closet or whatever, and then she flips it up. When she flips it on the first time, the yuppies are eating dinner and they get blinded and they're like, "What the hell's going on?" And then they start getting their sight back, and then Ellen finds it, flips it on, blinds them again.
But Am I the only one that gets itchy looking at this?
Oh yeah, no, this is the house getting ready to explode. I mean,
Uh, um, and the worst part is we've all seen our parents do it back then.
yep,
I've seen people that will plug the surge protectors for our copiers. Now, mind you, copiers use even though even though like a regular copier can be plugged into a normal outlet, they use more power. And I'll see
yep,
people plug our surge protectors into one of those $10 surge protectors just so they can extend it. And then you have
yep.
like the refrigerator coming off and a fan and a heater, and they don't understand why like the power keeps going out.
So this all brings me back to we had these big Christmas tree bulbs on our tree sometimes, and so we were wrapping the lights up one year, and then
Ed Van
they
Herpes.
they go out sometimes, and one time one of the bulbs blew a spark right onto our sheepskin rug and lit the sheepskin rug on fire in front of the fireplace, and it's like what.
I'm sorry, Bruce. I guess we should have highlighted this one. The He's a comedic sicktar. Then we find out that Bruce has little beers. There's a couple beers in him. So everyone remembers sicktar as the new word for actor. All right. So yeah, she's going back. They keep turning this on. The light goes on, goes off. But of course, when everyone comes out, it's off, and that's when this is this part. As a kid, I mean, I was in tears laughing. He beats up an inanimate object.
Yep.
Really good. Like he he does some damage. He does like MMA style.
Watching it this year, you know what my wife's comment was about this scene?
That's you.
No, that thing goes for so much money. You don't understand how much money he just destroyed.
Oh,
Because those
Selector's
things go
wife.
for a lot of money right now.
I would imagine so. All that, yeah, that stuff. We used to have a Pooh Bear, a Santa Pooh Bear, and it was so heavy because it had like sand like this much on the bottom, and it was life size Pooh Bear.
Yeah.
And how my dad got that thing up and down the steps, it was all faded. I think it finally ended up like breaking out because you weren't able to take the sand out of it. But everyone knew our house, because of Pooh Bear, the Santa Pooh Bear.
But I mean, this scene is extremely relatable to one of those just dad freak out moments and just like, I got to destroy something because I'm so upset because things aren't going the way they're supposed to.
I think we've all done it as a parent or an adult in general.
Yeah.
I think when we have kids, because we've seen it, we try and do it out of their sight.
Yeah.
But I think we've all seen our parents flip out. And again, it's not like he flips out like a violent dad beating his kids.
Mm-hmm.
He just loses it. And
Yep.
he beats up the reindeer.
Well, and then he gets so frustrated, he comes back and he does the big dramatic last time to lock
Yeah,
it in,
that was
and
this one, I believe, actually.
yeah, and then Ellen finally says, "Oh, it must be this thing," and flips the switch at the same time, and you get the sparks, and it's just glorious as all the lights come back on. And then he's got to yell for everybody to come back out because he worked really hard on this, and that whole conversation in between before the freak out was, I think, where Juliette Lewis was talking to Grandma saying he worked really hard on this.
Yes.
And we missed the scene with the wet carpet.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything, believe it or not, which was kind of shocking. They're arguing that something had to have done it.
Yeah, and they can't figure out why the carpet's wet and why the stereo's ruined and why is the window broken and what the heck happened.
Yeah, and like I said, I think this was one of those things where it's like the first thing no one saw an icicle becoming a projectile. But I don't think anyone thought like, oh yeah, when they get home, they're not even going to know what destroyed this $20,000 stereo.
And
And
what's really interesting, if you read reports about what an icicle dagger does to a human body when you penetrate the skin, anyway, that's enough.
what does it do?
It expands rather quickly and melts at the same time, and so it kind of almost makes a like explosion. It does a whole lot more damage than an actual just stabbing type of wound.
So then, what would be more dangerous? Shooting your eye, shooting yourself with a BB gun, or getting stabbed with a dagger of an icicle?
The icicle would probably be worse.
So his parents were worried about shooting his eye out, but they should have been worried about the icicles falling.
Icicle. Well, they're always worried about the icicles falling. That's a standard given the time frame in the era, because icicles have been known to kill people. So
Okay. I believe you. I mean, I've seen the big icicles hanging off here. I mean, I know no one in Arizona knows what an icicle is, but you mean those lights that they call icicles where people hang out? No, actual icicles.
well, yeah, Allison. There's no fingerprints on an ice dagger because it all melts.
All right, you know what? Listen, we are deleting the stream because I don't want anyone coming back going,
So
murder here.
So Clark gets so happy he's hugging everybody. He even hugs the in-laws, but his father-in-law, of course, has to have criticism over the light display. And that's when Eddie shows up.
And this movie is made better because of Cousin Eddie. I don't think anyone can dispute that. But he doesn't have as much comedic parts in it as you think. He just has some really big ones.
There's some really subtle ones too.
Yeah,
I think so. I mean,
but I'm just saying, like, it's not like he's like takes over the movie.
Oh no, yeah, not by any means.
But I mean, I think when people think of it, Cousin Eddie is, I think, the second person you're going to think about in this movie.
Yep, Clark and Eddie.
Which I can't imagine hanging out with this asshole.
Well, when you find out how crazy he is in real life, you might say, "Oh, maybe he really was Cousin Eddie."
And there's that too. Like, yeah, thinking about how crazy he is. But yeah. So I
go through the family thing. I love how they get to Ruby Sue, and she's like, "Oh, your eyes aren't crossed," and he's like, "Yeah, falls down a well, her eyes get crossed, kicked by a mule, and they're back to normal."
Allison says one of the few times Randy Quaid made anything better. I kind of have to agree.
I don't know. I like him in Independence Day. I mean, he sacrificed himself for everybody.
But he pretty much plays the exact same character in Independence Day. I think
I'm just saying. I mean, that's just him.
And to hi to Brick here. He says he loves this movie, but throws in shade, saying European Vacation is his favorite. But that's not a Christmas movie, Brick.
Yeah, it's not a Christmas movie.
When we do European movies, then you can tune in.
Thatcher is back.
So again, I like how he just shows up. Clark starts talking to him. It's kind of like he just talked to Rusty earlier with the with the lingerie, and then he realizes like, Eddie,
wait, what are you doing here? We didn't invite you. And then they con him into keeping the kids in the house, and then they're going to stay in the RV so they can have some, private time.
Yeah, which I'd rather have the kids in the house too. Now, does the son even have a single line in this movie?
No. I don't believe so.
I can't think of a single line that he has. Though the daughter has very important lines.
Yep.
for the plot.
Yep.
So then we see him ass kissing, bringing a present.
Oh
to
yeah,
him.
well you get the dog drinking the tree water, and they talk about, oh, he drank some Pennzoil, he'll be fine. And he says, and if he starts humping you, just let him go.
It's better to let him finish.
And then you find out that he's also got 2 older kids, a daughter that is in rehab for the wild turkey, and the son who's making his career in the carnival.
Yes.
And then Eddie says he's staying for a month.
Yeah, I'm sure the homeowners would have loved that.
Now, this scene, when you come back and Clark's trying to give a gift to his boss, and his boss is like, "Who the hell are you?" All the gifts look the same. My wife was wondering,
I
what the
noticed
hell
that
is
too.
in there? What the hell is in there? I've always wondered that. I said, they're the exact same gift. What are they all getting him?
Yeah, I noticed it. I remember as a kid kind of noticing that they all look the exact same. But I definitely noticed it this time too. That like every single one was the exact same. Different wrapping paper,
Yep.
but they're all just shaped like a brick, like a Lego brick that's made.
I don't know. Is it the same standardized shaving kit, or what? It's just weird because it's all exactly the same.
And I love that he's like on this big table. He's like far, it's like really far away from him. And he just walks in his office. Like
You know who his boss is played by, right?
as it's like I recognize him, but I can't think of anything that he's been in.
Yeah. Well, he's in Scrooged. I mean, he's Bill Murray's brother.
Oh,
He
no, that
played Bill Murray's father in Scrooged, in the
and his
flashback
brother.
scene. But yeah, he's Bill Murray's brother.
Man, Bill Murray has looked old for a long time. I feel bad for his brother that can play his father.
Well, it was a flashback scene, but he's got
Oh, okay.
in Scrooge, he had all 3 of his brothers were in Scrooge.
Yes. Yeah, I remember seeing that when I was watching something about it.
Yeah.
And so we have the sledding
The
incident.
sledding, yes. The infamous sledding scene.
So there's very few things that are just so in a movie like this that are just so far out there that make no sense and could never be true, but work. And this is one of them. This is about as unbelievable as Maverick hitting Mach 10.2 when you find out what the real fastest speed is in a plane. And you're like, yeah, where was the technology jump that we totally missed here?
Hey, it's this new space age polymer that they've developed at his company. And it's super Teflon. It's super Teflon. It's better than Teflon.
And the funniest part is anyone that's ever been sledding. Again, I know there's a lot of you that have really never seen snow before, so you don't know what it's like. You don't just take off. Like you have to inch yourself, get it going. If you have a sled that doesn't stick or doesn't slide, it doesn't move. It's like a snowboard or skis that aren't waxed properly.
Yeah.
But he's just on this and he gives it one little nudge and he just goes.
and you notice that as he's going down this little tiny sledding hill, all of a sudden he's in a ski resort going down the bunny slope. But anyway, it just
and again, I thought this shot pretty much summarized everything perfectly. He's just this part's just funny because it's not too long, it's not overdone. It's just a little blip. It could have been left out of the movie and no one would have said, "Oh, we needed something." But when you put it in, you also weren't like, "Oh, why did they put that in? They just needed filler." It really, really worked.
No, it works out great. And where does he end the scene?
I don't remember.
Walmart.
Oh yeah.
He runs into the Walmart.
Hold on one moment.
Yeah, no, this is the sledding scene's awesome. I love the sparks that are flying when he goes across the road, dodging traffic, spinning around in a circle, and then he ends up at the freaking Walmart.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
You can control this, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, no, the sledding scene is great. You got the whole family dynamic of everybody just doing whatever, and I love later how we see the sled is, burned out, for lack of a better term. Yeah, yeah, it was at the Walmart. Walmart flashback at the end. Yeah, yeah. No, I wouldn't imagine you get much snow time in Miami. You get lots of palm trees.
All right. He's downstairs, not.
Heard him earlier, so.
Okay, so.
So, so right after the sledding scene.
These are out of order.
Yeah, I was gonna say we get Clark. Yeah, envisioning the pool that he's spent all of the bonus money on already. He's spent that money that he hasn't gotten yet already.
Yes, that he thinks is coming. Like he's estimating that he's going to get even more, and he's wrote a check for it. And again, I think most of us are old enough to remember when you could write checks and still wait 2 weeks before they get cashed, or you could pray.
Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah,
but you get Mahe Kalikimaka, the Hawaiian Christmas song from Elvis, playing in the background. I thought that was awesome. And you get everybody jumping in the pool. Even Eddie, he even fantasizes about Eddie coming over there in his Speedo. And then all of a sudden it switches to Mary. Mary shows up.
Now, my dumbass never really realized that the girl was the sales lady.
Oh.
It never dawned on me until I watched it now, and I'm like, oh. I don't know. I just never put 2 and 2 together. But you get her, taking off her swimsuit, and then it hits the window, and that's when you see that, and that's when you see this.
Ruby Sue comes up, and Clark has an extension that he's hiding underneath his robe.
And again, like, this is, again, she doesn't have many lines, but this is very important to Bruce, because I was a kid when I used to watch this, and I never really paid attention because I wasn't looking at the face, I guess is the best thing I can say. But then you see she's wearing a red a red swimsuit. She's got the red dress on. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. This is very important. I mean, this is where they pretty much realize his cousins have absolutely nothing. And I think as a parent, this is like one of those things you have to teach your kids. Like, listen, not everyone's going to get as much as you.
Yep.
You hope your kids understand that. Also, there's going to be kids that get way more than you.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see this part, and then you see how generous they really are. Because remember, he's already spent the bonus. Yep. So they're going to buy, they're not taking money out of the bonus. They're just going to, buy these kids a Christmas present, Christmas.
Yep.
And Snot the dog, and
hey, get yourself something nice for you too, Clark.
But it is true. It is one of those talks that I think most of us will have with at least one kid when they start asking about Santa Claus. And they're asking, "Are you Santa Claus?" And you're like, "No, Santa Claus comes down that chimney." Or, "I didn't have a chimney, so my parents they're like, it's just, he has magic powers."
I had somebody posted something recently that I took in, and I was like, okay, how do you talk to your kids about it? Like, when they get to the age and they say, "Do you really want to know?" do you really want to know? And if they do, then you can come up with a conversation is like, well, Santa Claus is the spirit of giving anonymously without being recognized for it.
So funny story is I'm listening to the radio station one day and they were talking about this whole there's a sports stations. They were talking about like when when your kids found out about Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, earmuffs, or turn this off for any kids in the room, right? If you guys have kids, giving you a fair warning. So this guy calls in, he goes, I got a good story. He goes, so I'm walking with my son. I forget what he said, what his age was, but he's like, Dad, I know the tooth fairy's not real. And so we're like, how do you know? He's like, the kids talk. I know. And he said, I also know the Easter Bunny's not real too. And he's like, oh, okay. And he said, but as we're walking, he goes, I can see the gears turning in his head. That he's about to tell me that he knows Santa Claus isn't real, but he goes, I could also tell that he was worried that if he said that he wouldn't get any presents. And he goes, but Dad, and he was like, he's like, but I still know Santa Claus is real. And he goes, the whole reason he said that, he goes, you could tell, was he was scared if I said he didn't believe Santa Claus was real or didn't know, he wouldn't get presents anymore. So I was like, and hey, you know, that's how a kid would think, you know, or how a lot of kids would think. I can't say all kids, but so.
Yeah, but I like the idea that you can say that Santa Claus is the representation of giving without acknowledgement.
He is real, Fatrid. He delivered the hiss a little early. Of course, we all paid for it, but that's beside the point. All right, so we move on to if I do believe the next scene is Shitter's Full.
Yep. I mean, Shitter's Full, man.
Oh,
doing some illegal dumping down in the sewers.
I'm sorry. We forgot while the conversation was going on. She said shit and bricks.
Shit and bricks.
And that's when he said, "He made." What does he say to her? She's like,
he said, you know, you really shouldn't say that word.
And she says, oh, "Sorry, shit and rocks." But his dumb, confused look is what makes the scene. Right? It's not that she says it; it's his dumb, confused look of like, all right, like I don't. And we've all had it, right?
Yeah.
Your kid says something, you know, you shouldn't say that, and they're really being honest, and you're like,
man.
So here we have Shitter's Full.
And you see this massive pile of trash that's building up from all the stuff that they're doing, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger as the days go on, and you realize that, you know, a week has pretty much passed since the first scene of the movie, and nobody's come to take the trash.
And you're coming up on Christmas, which we know everything always gets backed up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, it's getting larger again. Like he didn't do that much damage to the Santa Claus and the reindeer. Like, why are they? He's just that mad that they're there.
Well, no, he actually did quite a bit of damage to that, and I don't know. Everything's disposable. Then it's the '80s. The family's angry and arguing, and then you come out to see this.
I love that Bruce says he's belching on beer. I don't know if I've ever used the term belching before. I mean, I know what it is. We can say burping here, Bruce. And yeah, and this is where Clark kind of like mentions like something about the drainage. And
well, yeah, and the yuppies see it too.
Yes, and yeah, this one he's like Shitter's full. and here's the other thing: if you live in cold areas, you know that there are people that walk around and will go outside like this. I mean, I go out in t-shirts all year round, no matter how cold it is, to get stuff. And like people are like, "Wow, I just can't believe you're out in a t-shirt." But I see people with shorts, short sleeve shirts, all the time. Like they don't.
So I'll tell you that cold here in Texas is different than cold in Wyoming, because I spent some time in Wyoming when my sister was there for a long time, and I remember walking outside in shorts and a t-shirt, and it was negative 20 degrees, and I was okay.
I was telling Tony the other day, I'm like, listen, it's like when it's like 20 degrees and the sun is out and there's no wind, you can walk out in a t-shirt and it doesn't bother you.
Yeah, you
It,
can.
it's 35, it gets dark and it's windy or it's cloudy, and you're like, fuck this.
The other difference is how humid it is, because if it's more humid, that cold gets through the bones faster. And so if it's in a drier area, the cold isn't as bad.
Yeah, Tony asked me about that. I'm like, listen, 10 degrees is 10 fucking degrees. I don't fucking care. I don't care if it's humid or not. All right. We're not talking 80 and humid or 90 and humid. At 10 degrees, it's 10 fucking degrees.
Humidity does change it, how it affects the body, but
okay, it does, but you still feel as well, is all that I'm saying.
oh yeah. Yeah.
And as Patrick says, the lake effect. Yes. The lake
Yep.
effect is, again, if you don't live in a windy part when it's cold, you don't know. But again, like it's 20 degrees, it's 15 degrees out. Well, not right now, but it's like 15. It's sunny out and there's no wind. It's no big deal. You go take out your garbage in a short sleeve shirt. You don't even think about it.
Yeah.
But that wind hits and it gets cloudy and you're like, ooh. And you look and you're like, it's 37. Like, God, this feels way worse than what it was yesterday.
Yep.
All right.
Well, and then Clark and Ellen decide, they have that conversation. They decide to get the presents for the kids
because they realize they got them absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and then they go to the store. Yeah. Oh, you find out that Eddie's been out of work for 7 years.
He's waiting for a management position.
He's waiting. I'm like, what the hell, dude? I mean, seriously.
I mean, even back then, for how he's dressed is just bad.
Oh yeah.
Even at Walmart.
Well, I don't know. The 80s Walmart, the white belt, the leisure suit, it's probably
fine. Yeah. So, in fact, Thatcher's arguing. He says, lived in Wisconsin for 42 years, Montana for 6 months. Cold is not the same in dry areas. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying when it hits, like my dad once said when they were in, he was in either Arizona or Las Vegas, and it was like 110 degrees. And I said, I go, what is dry heat? And he goes, 110 is 110. I went, yes, you have a point. Yes, there is a difference, but either way, you're cold as hell. All right? Like, but again,
I love, go ahead.
But quickly, like if you live in the northern states, your body gets used to it when it's cold.
Oh yeah,
it is different. If you came up right now and you felt it right now, Tony's like, "Yep, nope. Okay, Arizona boy, we get it, man."
I'm usually pretty good in cold temperatures.
But I mean, a lot of it's mind over matter. But I'm just saying, like your body changes.
Yeah, it definitely does for sure. I love how they're stacking up. He keeps piling in dog food, and Clark keeps throwing stuff in. Like right before that old Roy gets put on there, he throws some light bulbs on the dog food, and he just throws the dog food right on top of the light bulbs.
But yeah, he's it's again. You want to say Eddie's not a bad guy? He's just clueless.
He's clueless, but it really does seem like he's manipulating Clark in this situation.
Oh yeah, with not getting his kids presents.
About paying for all their groceries and the dog food.
And I have a big dog. They don't eat that much.
He's planning ahead.
Yes, when he leaves. So, all right. So here we have.
And Bethany and Uncle Lewis show up.
Now I couldn't find any pictures, and this is the old couple that they're together because they're old. And it's the only reason. You can tell Lewis can't stand Bethany. She's as dumb as a doornail.
Deaf. She's deaf as a doornail.
Okay. That's doesn't explain the cat in here though.
Okay, so that has to do with dementia, and I'll tell you this:
Yeah.
we went to New Orleans one year for New Year's, and on the way back, we're driving back, and my stepmother's mom has dementia. We know this, and so she's sitting there in the backseat of the car, and she's petting her coat, and she goes into this long story about how her mink coat was one of her favorite dogs that they taxidermied and then turned into this coat. He was such a good dog. And we just go into this story with her as she's telling this whole story about the dog that she never had until the tire blew out. But that was but you know, in certain phases of dementia, you get confused on everything, and so then you have to create your own reality. So you start manufacturing a storyline as to why this is the way it is, and so I could see all of these things happening.
I just know that when I get it, I will. People will believe I was the greatest skateboarder ever. The amount of things that I will have done, and hey, we live in a time that not everyone had video and pictures, so you can't say I didn't do it.
Oh yeah, I was a background extra in the movie Rad.
I did the backflip.
That's right.
I rode hell track on a skateboard. You didn't see me in that part though. But yeah, so he's got the cat. He's like trying to get his parents' attention.
Oh well, yeah. The son is trying to get his dad's attention because he sees that there's Jello leaking from this package, but mom's telling him to shut up and go put it under the tree. He's like, all right, whatever.
And then him shaking that it's the cat, like it is like the worst acting, but it's supposed to be, you know.
Oh, of course.
Just to point it out, like, oh yeah, there's a cat in here, you know.
And you notice when he shakes it, and then the cat stops. The cat goes, and then just stops. It's like the cat would never just stop mid screech. I mean, come on.
Especially not a cat.
Especially not a cat. So you got cat in a box and Jello in a box.
Yes. The Jello one just kind of makes me feel sick.
Oh yeah, well, especially when you realize what's in the Jello.
So the
the blessing.
when she goes in the story about Grace.
Grace? She passed away 6 years ago.
So I think, like, again, I like this because they weren't thrown in too much. You know, nowadays you get these comedies or these movies, and they need to just throw in so many things that don't need to be in there, right? And I think this was just the perfect amount.
Yep.
You see there the angst between the two of them. Well, more him than her. But and then she goes in
She's
the
totally
Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance, and Eddie stands up and puts his hand on his chest, and
which at least we know Eddie's a good American, right? If anything, he is a good American. Then they cut into the turkey. I don't have a picture
into the turkey. Yes.
I can't remember a movie before this that did it where the turkey just kind of, I know we've seen it since then.
Yeah. Well, no, because everybody wants to depict the best, Christmas displays or whatever. And then, Eddie's wife just starts bawling there because she made the turkey.
But this was very unexpected. It's just like, and basically they're basically flossing their teeth with the skin. Is what they're doing.
I mean, come on, it's like turkey jerky, man. I mean, come on, everybody's crunch. You see the one grandma dipping it in her water, kind of swishing it around, trying to hydrate it to some degree. and Eddie's just loving it. He loves his turkey jerky. And here's where you see the lime jello with the cat food in it.
Okay, so this just makes me feel sick, even just looking at it.
Totally disgusting. I don't know. I mean, I've been dared to do a lot of things, and yes, I've eaten a little dry cat food, a little dry dog food before.
I hate when
cat food is far worse.
Well, like when Roman, like he eats and he might get a couple pieces of food in his water, and then you got to pull it out, and it's
all.
But it's not all soggy. It's just like part of it. It's not like kicks. Like when kicks get soggy, they just This is like it's awful, and it doesn't go down. Like if you dump it in, if you dump it in your sink, it will never go down because the middle is like a fucking gobstopper. It will never dissolve. And where I pulled gobstopper out, I have no idea. Because I have not mentioned gobstopper in 30 years.
But somehow you have that recall there.
Okay, and so Bruce is, and that's just it. I couldn't imagine the taste. Like it's just everything looks so awful.
Lime jello with chalk. I mean, that's.
I think I would rather eat the boiled bacon that they made in Better Off Dead.
Oh.
or the gelatin that goes that moves. and Better Off Dead.
Oh, I love Better Off Dead.
And so down south throws in the save the neck for me, Clark.
Oh yeah. Bleach.
The taste of fish. Oh God. Okay. Let's get off this picture because
And then we get the discussion of Santa Claus and Clark saying, "Hey, I heard Santa Claus was on his way," and he's like, "Are you serious, Clark?" He's like, "Shut up, Eddie, come on." And then the dog starts burping, and he's like, "If you stop feeding him from the table." And he's like, "Oh, I'm not. Maybe he got into the trash." And so they start having to pick up the damn trash that the dog destroyed. I don't know. My dogs are pretty good. I don't know about yours, but my dogs don't get into the trash. But I know dogs that do.
So oddly enough, Roman doesn't get in the trash. But if he did it the other day. He would chew on or get anything that was white. So like tags that have to cut off. Kleenex or stuff that was thrown in trash, he would get into, and I don't know why. Wow. It was only the white stuff that he would go after. So I had to get those little garbage cans for the bathrooms.
Yeah,
that have the lids. But he got into mine the other day. Get out of it. Matter of fact, he's looking in the garbage right now here. But he's never gotten in the big garbage, and he's never gone after anything. But yeah, not like that. Like that. Hey, I don't get.
No, I've been lucky enough not to have that happen. And then you get Lewis trying to go for a stogie, and you see the cat chewing on the cords as Lewis is trying to light his cigar somewhere. And then Clark finds the lights are unplugged, and so he goes to plug them back in, and poof. The cat just explodes and evaporates.
So this part's funny because this is not how it would be in real life.
Not at all.
But the fact that they just didn't leave like a burnt mark, that they left the cat fur around it, is what makes it good. I mean, it's what makes it hilarious.
It's absolutely Looney Tunes, is what it is.
But
it's
you know what?
Looney Tunes.
Anyone that is a sports fan, especially a baseball fan, will remember when the big unit, Randy Johnson, threw that ball and a poor unexpected bird disintegrated. Like it was just gone. Like it makes no sense whatsoever. Like I've never seen anything like that. That thing just disintegrated, and that's pretty much what happened here.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think again, putting the fur around it it adds to it. Like oh shit, like it was there.
I shouldn't be laughing so hard at this, but it is hilarious to me. I don't know, because it's so cartoon. It's funny.
And the thing has 9 lives. She just spent all of
Yeah.
them. So then we get to Lewis here. Now,
Well, and we start smelling the sewer gas, and the sewer gas is coming up, and there he goes lighting his stogie, and he's on fire.
now remember, from the moment that Snot got there, this was already foreshadowed.
Yep.
They had already told you this thing is going up in flames.
Yeah.
But it was very subtle that, again, trees don't dry out that quickly. Okay.
No, it takes a little bit of time, and even still, you've got the gas, and but this isn't. I don't know. This
Listen,
isn't the big gas explosion, but yet.
no,
But
not yet. And we've totally missed the whole hair thing. It's toupee.
well, right here, I mean, we've noticed that he's had a toupee, whatever, but here it goes lighting on fire.
Yeah. So when he does turn around, he's on fire, and Clark puts him out. I'm trying to see where I was. I want to see what's coming up next here. Okay, so yeah, so this happens,
So,
and then the bonus check shows up.
well, so yeah, he kind of gets the late night knocker, the guy that misses delivery, and it looks like Bobcat Goldthwait, but it's not. But they're kind of going that way,
And
and then he pulls it up, and he tells everybody what he spent it on before he's even looked at it.
But I will say this. So I thought, like, at first I remember thinking, like, this is really stupid. Why would someone show up on Christmas Eve? But the kid explains, like, it fell, and you're just trying to do the nice thing. So he
Yep.
runs it over on his own time. Like, here's your, here, I was supposed to deliver this, right?
And he gets the door slammed in his face for it.
And then you're right. He explains what he's bought it for. And if there's extra money, he's gonna fly everyone out because this is such a good time.
He wants everybody to come back and experience the pool, because he wants to be the family destination source. He wants to be the family man.
Yeah, I don't know who really wants to be that.
So my sister hosted Christmas for 20 years. About year 15 to 18, she was really fucking tired of it, and now she won't do it anymore because they moved. Once they moved from where they were to where they are now, she said, "I'm not doing it anymore."
So yeah, there was more than a few pictures, but I like this one because nobody knows yet what it is.
Yeah,
Except for he realizes, like, it's not even a check. It's a jelly
not
of the
even
month.
a check.
You know?
Jelly of the month club. I mean, he goes through the whole thing, and is it more than you expected? And this whole time we're seeing Grace's chest almost fully exposed with that wonderful Christmas Eve outfit that she's wearing is totally inappropriate for children.
Or around your parents.
Yeah, right.
I will say that it's kind of funny that's like that. Clark's dad never mentions that. Like, you would think in a movie like this that would have gotten mentioned.
Well, what's even funnier is what happens a little bit later, and you you get the impression, based off of her Christmas Eve outfit and what happens a little bit later, that Clark must have an impressive package and know how to use it well, because she's very protective of it.
Oh, remember, it's not the first time her breasts were exposed anywhere. It's a lot easier to delete videos now than back then. Of course, they're all on, except they're all on the cloud now, so it doesn't really matter. And this is where he loses it. And
absolutely loses it.
I think we've all had a meltdown. Maybe not to the point where we did all this stuff, but we've all had a meltdown where it no longer matters. Like we're finishing whatever we need to do.
It's done.
You know?
And he's sick and tired of this nonsense, but he's going to make the best Christmas he can for everybody. So he gets the damn chainsaw and goes out and cuts down a fucking tree in his front yard.
which goes directly into Todd and Margot's kitchen while they're eating, and they're discussing how maybe they should have gotten a Christmas tree. And she's like, "Well, we're gonna find a Christmas tree on Christmas Eve." Which listen, the one thing I hate about Christmas movies or Christmas shows is when they're all decorating on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
You know what? Why would you decorate your tree on Christmas Eve? It's usually a fight with your kids anyway.
Yeah.
Why do you want to ruin Christmas Eve?
I do know some people that have traditions of you set up all the decorations around the house, but you don't decorate the tree until Christmas Eve or whatever. And I don't understand that, but whatever. Some people do that.
Yeah, not my thing. But they're talking about it, and here comes the Christmas tree smashing through the window.
and then they get into the whole discussion.
Yes.
It says, hey, you better go over there. If you're not married enough, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, so there's him flipping out. And I don't even... Why is he upstairs with the chainsaw?
I don't know why he went upstairs with the chainsaw.
Because
but
I had to look at my notes a couple times. Because I'm like, isn't this before he went out? And I'm like, why wouldn't have wrote the notes that way? But the fact that he just... This is when you know he's lost it, right? He's like, why would the chainsaw be upstairs? And he's just like... What does he say? I fixed the banister.
Banister's fixed.
So Ed says, well, traditionally the tree got decorated on Christmas Eve because real candles were used and not lights. Okay. Except now we have LED lights. Only if they come from China, we know they burn out because Matthew buys cheap LED lights.
I buy the ones that come at the store, and they fade and they wear out and they burn out. So
yeah. So I didn't understand why he ended up upstairs after he cut down the tree with the chainsaw, but whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe this was supposed to happen first because it would have made more sense, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense why he's upstairs with the chainsaw. I think only murderers do that, right? Like end up just.
He was wearing the hockey mask earlier. I mean, But then we get the decorating of the new tree, and everybody's having a good time, and he's freaking out, and his dad comes over and has a nice conversation with him, about, hey, you're in charge of this Christmas. And then he says, are you going to recite the night before Christmas? He says, it's not my house. It's not my duty. You're the one hosting this. This is your time to do this, And then we get the whole squirrel thing where the old aunt is the only one that can hear it.
So Down South 77 points it out. He's crazed. He's just carrying it around.
Yeah. All right. I'll take it.
I mean, you really can't argue that point. Like he's just like, you know what? Everywhere I go, I'm bringing the chainsaw.
Yeah, why not? But they're decorating the tree, and then the aunt is the one that hears it, and everybody thinks she's crazy because she can't hear anything because she's deaf. But he's like, no. Clark's like, I think I hear something, and then squirrel, and everybody freaks.
Which I love squirrels. I don't know why anyone would be so like, but I don't understand like the mouse thing. People freak out, but the fact that they're like hiding from the squirrel, which it can jump on walls. I mean, it can pretty much go on anything it wants to.
Well, and then he's on his back. Yeah, I love the fact that Clark comes over and is talking to Eddie's wife, and he's like, where's Eddie? He finally realizes that Eddie's not around.
Yeah.
Doesn't he eat these things? And he says, no, he cut back on squirrel because he heard there was too much cholesterol in them.
It's good that Eddie's looking out for his health.
Yeah, right.
I feel like Ed would know if squirrels have a lot of cholesterol in them.
I don't know. Squirrel and rabbit, there's so little meat in it anyway. It's pretty gamey.
Yeah.
And then the one thing that I thought would have happened sooner doesn't happen until they all run upstairs, and that's when the dog starts chasing the squirrel.
Yes.
My dogs would have been all over that thing as soon as that tree was in the house.
Yeah, I think Roman would be too, especially as a groundhog.
Oh yeah.
I've already seen what happens when he catches a groundhog.
Oh no.
I didn't
Yeah,
tell
my
you that
dogs
one.
have caught. No, my dogs have caught bunnies and they've caught squirrels before, and I've got one that shakes them so hard they break their necks real fast. I've got the other one that just wants to play with them and toss them up in the air.
Right before we went to St. Louis a couple years ago, there was a groundhog out there. There were all these groundhogs, and I would let Roman out. They'd always get away. I've seen him jump over the fence right before, but it kind of hit the playscape of theirs, so it slowed him down, and he went around, and I watched Roman go, and the kids are watching, and he ran up behind it. He grabbed it and went about 10 feet up in the air, came down, crawled underneath the fence, and then slowly died as Roman barked at it for like a half hour. And my kids were like,
it was fairly disturbing because we have some Ring camera footage of it, but when rabbits scream,
ooh,
I don't know if you ever heard that before, but it
no.
sounds like a child screaming in pain. And
Ooh.
so the rabbits will scream in fear and in pain when being chased by large animals.
Just while
And
being chased?
well, they've done it before, like when they
Wow.
have the fear of getting caught, like right before they get caught and they know that they're done, they'll let out this horrendous scream, and it's disturbing.
I've heard like cats and stuff because we have coyotes back here. So
Oh yeah.
you hear, and I'm assuming they're cats. Maybe they're rabbits now that you say that. And we'll be sitting back there at a bonfire, and it's like, something got a cat. Well, maybe they're rabbits now that now you point that out.
I had a coyote run right in front of my car this morning.
There's one on the way to my ex's house. And I told her, I'm like, you need to watch Sheldon because he's a little
Yeah.
Vaation jutsu. And she's like, oh, you mean the one by the train tracks? It's like, yeah, it's by itself. Yeah, well, just watch out because it's not Roman. Like,
Yeah.
they'll come for him. That one would leave Roman alone because, they're pussies. So here we have Morgo and Todd. Now, this may have happened first, but this is
no, yeah. Yeah,
So
this is when they're getting the argument about if you're not man enough, I'm going to do it.
Because he just can't go over and punch someone.
Yeah, he's like, I can't just go over and punch the guy in the face.
Yeah. Even though they've seen all the stuff that's already happened, I think by now you could figure out, they must have figured out what happened to the stereo equipment.
I mean, some thought may have come across the fact that, hey, our neighbor probably did this.
So she storms over there, about to knock on the door, opens the door, and the squirrel jumps on her.
She doesn't open the door. Clark opens the door because they're getting ready to run the squirrel out with the dog. So he opens up the door. The squirrel jumps on her chest. The dog jumps on her.
Snot goes right on her.
And then Clark just closes the door.
He just closes the door.
And doesn't hear the woman screaming.
Oh, I think he hears. I just don't think he cares. And then she storms back over.
All disheveled and clocks Todd.
Yeah. And I gotta say, this picture, whoever took it was absolutely perfect. Because that is an angry looking face, Like that is someone that looks like they're angry. And Todd looks like he actually took a punch there. So now this. I'm trying to think.
and then this is where Clark is getting, how can it get any worse?
Yes. All right. That's right.
This is when he has his breakdown, and this is when his dad has the conversation with him.
Yeah. And during this whole time, you're kind of seeing, you don't know what he's doing. Like, I don't think, maybe an adult would have, but as a kid at least, you're not putting two and two together that Eddie is literally doing exactly what Clark said to do.
Yep.
Which is get a big bow, put it on my boss, and bring him here out of a happy home or whatever he says.
Yeah. I mean, you don't think about it. You just see, we know as an audience that Eddie left, and then we see him at this mansion, or see the RV at the mansion.
Yeah.
And then we don't see it till Eddie's dad, Clark's dad gives his talk and passes the torch to him, and he says, "Okay, we're going to go out, play the piano, and recite the night before Christmas," and everybody's having a good time until he looks out the window and he sees Eddie and a man tied up in a bow. And then you see the boss man's wife is calling the police to make the report.
Which, oddly, they knew exactly where they were going. That's.
I mean, they don't know who this person is at all, so I don't know how they knew where they were going.
And they mobilize the SWAT team. Maybe the worst SWAT team ever. Very quickly on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, right on Christmas Eve, the SWAT team's ready to go. I mean, that must be Shockwave and his buddies, right?
Yeah. I noticed you fixed his shield there.
No, I just clipped it onto the other side. I haven't flipped it yet.
Oh, okay.
But I will.
That bothers me.
It bothers me too.
That's the only thing that bothers me.
So
bad. So here he brings his boss. And I couldn't even imagine being Clark and this going through your mind. Like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, he knows his career is over at this place because his boss is here and he's in his pajamas, and he realizes that his boss has just fired him because he said so. Right? And then Clark is like, "Well, fuck it. Then I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel." And he goes on to it and he says, 17 years. I've been with the company for 17 years. And then you see the family all giving him the puppy dog eyes, and even his son chimes in, and Clark didn't want to say it sucks, but his son's like, "It sucks." And it's like, yeah, it does. It does suck to not get recognized, to not get any acknowledgement of the work and the time that we put in.
Yeah, and again, like, there wasn't any rhyme or reason for cutting the bonuses when they've done it every single year.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't make any sense why he would come to that conclusion that, I'll just save some more money, I'll cut the bonuses out.
Yeah,
like he wouldn't know what the bonuses are for, why they have the bonus structure in place. It doesn't make any sense on any level why it would happen, but whatever. It does happen sometimes.
With that said, you shouldn't put a down payment on an in-ground pool before you have the money in your hand.
You shouldn't pay for anything before you have the money in hand. Yes, that is the best option. But hey, America lives on credit.
Buying, an action figure a little early and spending $35 is one thing, but just doing a pool is a little bit more.
little different there. And then the boss finally feels guilty about it, and he says, "Oh, what you got last year plus 20%."
Yep.
And then the cops show up. He realizes he was a dick.
And during this whole, we're seeing the SWAT team come,
and they're pulling up all over, and they raid the neighbor's house, and she's like, "You're gonna have to take the door down," and boom, they come right in.
Which I'm a little confused on why the SWAT team would be going in the neighbor's house.
They have to secure all surrounding locations.
They go down like Alpine. Somehow they got on the roof and no one heard. Why
How
they
they
got on the
completely
roof?
surrounded the house and no one heard.
Well, there's a lot of commotion going on in the house, so I guess.
Fair, and I'm sure people are had a lot of the eggnog in the moose glasses. Yeah, I'm sure.
And yeah, again, they're
Is that Tackleberry? No, that's not Tackleberry.
no, but it
Okay,
does look like him.
it does. Kind of...
And the more that as time has gone on, and you see military movies and stuff, and you see that now military movies and police movies, police shows, they train how to actually how they would use weapons, right? How SWAT would
Yeah,
work, how
yeah.
special forces work. So now when I see old movies where people are carrying M16s like Arnold Schwarzenegger did, and you're going, so you're just gonna like spray an area to hit everyone, right? Like that stock was there for a
Spray and
reason.
spray.
But that's how most of the SWAT goes in.
Yep.
And here you have them all kind of freaking out.
Well, and then look how Grace is frozen there.
Yes.
She's stuck down, protecting her husband's groin.
Didn't notice that till you said
that. And the only time she even moves from there, because they said to freeze, was to shake the hand of his boss's wife. Says hi, and she reaches her hand out, and as soon as she shakes it, she brings it right back to his crotch.
And so he explains that it's an all a misunderstanding, and then you hear him telling his wife that, you know, remember I was telling you about the bonus, and that's when she pretty much goes off on him.
Well, and even the chief of police or whoever that guy's supposed to be kind of went up. That's really low, man.
His it says, if I had a rubber hose, I was like,
I would beat you with it.
Which he's no, you know, he's explaining that he figured out, but the whole, if I had a rubber hose, I'd beat me with it. Like, and then you see them all just kind of celebrating together, but all the cops decided to stay because I guess there's no other crime going on, and since they can pull away from the families.
Yeah, that was the biggest event, and so why not celebrate with some people, because you know they're on duty anyway, and hey, maybe we can fix the house up too.
And Ed, I thought the exact same thing when I saw this.
Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, Carl was in a lot of things, from Die Hard to Family Matters to several other movies where he played that same character.
But was this before or after?
After.
This was really?
This was 1989.
God, why does it seem like it's older?
I always thought it was older too, you know, but going through all this review and stuff like that, I realized how early or how late it was.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. And I see a Taurus, you know, station wagon. That's not early '80s. And that's actually the newer. I think that's a newer Taurus. That was the second version of the Taurus, I actually believe.
Technically, Die Hard was '88, so it was Die Hard was the year before this.
But when was Family Matters?
Oh, Family Matters had to be '90s.
Yeah, so this would have been before Family Matters.
No, Family Matters was '89. Holy crap!
Wow,
started in '89.
Okay, so down south says the Taurus came out in '86. So that must have been, so that must have been the first. I was thinking that was the second model, but oh well, it's still a Taurus.
It's still a Taurus, yeah. I mean, or a Mercury Sable. I mean, same car.
That's a good Mercury Sable. Yes, that's right. That's like you correcting me that when I said Mace Windu's not Doc, and you said, well,
because Could be Nick Fury.
It could be Nick Fury. Like, all right, well, you got me there. Me thinking all black people look the same. As we're trying to say, this guy looks like Carl Winslow. I think this is the point we say we are not racist here. All right. So then we, after they're all celebrating, we see Uncle Lewis out there about to light up.
And they realize, they look out on the sky and they realize how pretty it looks. And it's like, no, that's sewer gas. It's floating up in the air and it's distorting the perspective and creating a fake aurora borealis. And so, oh crap, Uncle Lewis lights a cigar.
And then he goes up and
so does the Santa that
Yes.
was trashed and put out by the garbage.
Yeah.
So it gets launched into the atmosphere.
And that's when she starts singing the Star Spangled Banner.
The Star Spangled Banner.
And that's how the movie ends.
And she ends with play ball.
And yeah, look at that. We made it in
That's
2
it.
hours. I'm so impressed.
That's it. Yay.
So it's been a long time since we did it in 2 hours. Like I said,
The movie's only an hour and a half, so I would hope so. But
and we didn't start right out. We didn't start right away.
yeah.
Listen, I enjoyed the movie, and again, I think when you watch the movies and you try and take notes and everything, again, this, it takes a whole new life on. It's almost like almost like when I'm reviewing figures and I'm comparing the classified to the O-rings, and I'm noticing so many things on the O-rings that I never noticed before because all I was doing was playing. So watching a movie like this and doing notes and stuff like that, it's definitely one of those things where you're just like, you're noticing things you never noticed.
Yeah. Yeah, down south we did miss the part where Uncle Eddie just wanted to fumigate the chair and take it back. Yeah, I mean, the cat died under there. It's okay. I'll just reuse the chair. I mean, he's thinking conservatively with spending his money or someone else's.
It's garbage. Like why why would anyone get mad if someone wants to take something out of your garbage, right? If you can do something with it, have at it, Yeah.
Hey, someone's garbage is somebody else's treasure, so you never know.
I can tell you many stories about my uncle who was a garbage picker and some of the amazing things that he picked up.
Yeah.
Like beyond. He actually gave me 2 original G.I. Joe figures.
Yeah.
That was in the old wood box, even though the wood box was like beat up. And a couple years later, he asked if he could have them back. And I was like, nope. I'm like, you gave them to me. And my dad said, if he's asking for them back, do not give them. It means he found someone that is willing to pay money for it.
Yep.
So if you're not going to use them, you might as well get the money for it because he already gave them to you. And I was like, well, I wasn't going to give them back anyway because they were given to me.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, if Patrick says he finds amazing things at Goodwill, I go to Goodwill. It seems like once a week, you're on one of these G.I. Joe forums and someone's finding like a fucking Defiant for $10. I'm there. I'm like, oh, hey, look, some McDonald's toy.
Hey, they re-released the chicken nuggets, man. I mean, come on. No, I really like this movie. I love all of the family dynamics, the undertones that are there, the subtleties that you realize that if you've been around large family gatherings at the holidays, that these things happen all the time.
Oh yeah. So Down South asks if there's any more of these this year, and that is a really good question because technically there would be one on the 28th, which would lead into my birthday. I don't really know what we're going to do because we've discussed we discussed right before we went out doing this a little bit differently. I think we're gonna have to discuss what we're gonna do. We'll do so if you're not busy on that Thursday.
There'll be something to do.
Yeah, there'll be
Yeah,
something.
no, yeah, I'll be around. Um, I know Ed and I have talked about a couple things that we might want to do if you're not available, but yeah, there's always something to work on.
Hey, you know what? Listen, if you and Ed, I mean, if you guys want to do something on Thursday, listen, I am on the interwebs enough. I have no problem setting back or doing three people if it's something that but if you guys have something that you guys want to do that you don't think that I'd be interested in, listen, I'm not gonna be upset. I just happen to turn on um uh Largo's stream last night and I see Ed and Oz on there and I'm like, God, Oz is on every single stream.
Yeah,
I can't.
Largo had a bunch of people on the other night.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
I can't do that. I mean, I guess physically I could. I don't want to be. It's like,
It's a lot of chaos to manage. Yeah, it's
yeah, and like I said, I'm doing all these reviews and they take up so much of my time. Uh, and again, I know it drives the channel, so that's what I like to focus on. One aspect of it, but it's yeah. Um, and Ed's on a lot of streams too, but he's got that big comfy chair.
yeah.
I need to get a comfier chair for this. I'll tell you that much. Uh, but yeah, so we will do something for sure. Like I said, I had planned on we planned on doing something. Like I said, it's going into um, it'll be going into my birthday, so midnight will be 48 for me. Think about it.
All right, yeah. So, hey, pick a good birthday movie. We can talk about it or whatever.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah. We can do something.
Yeah, we have time, and I promise I'll announce it ahead of time. I sometimes can be, Thatcher. I don't really like gleaming the cube.
It's just not as good. I mean, I agree with you. Rad is awesome for all that kind of stuff, but Gleaming the Cube just didn't do it.
No, because it has its spots. But there's more stuff that I found annoying or hilarious than most people would.
Oh yeah.
Like when at the end he launches off and then you see him doing a method and he launches off going skating regular, but then he methods being goofy because Michael Gill was his stunt double, but that's not how he skated. So yeah. But you know what? Yeah. Let me think of something and we'll yeah, we can do something.
Yeah,
I mean, I might go back and watch Gleaming the Cube and be like, all right, this is so bad that it's good.
No, that's like Robot Jocks. I go back and watch that one and say, no, it really was that bad. I just enjoyed it as a kid because there's big robots fighting.
But yeah, we'll do something or we'll figure out something. Again, it is Christmas, and like I said, as I mentioned before, you guys don't see how much time I spend here, Matthew spends here, or any content creator, and it doesn't really matter to you guys, but this takes up way more time than I thought. And Matthew, when he did it when I was on vacation, I think that's when you really got the big
No, I knew about it before because I did that with a couple of other ones with
Okay.
I did with Tony and stuff and yeah, no, that was I knew ahead of time how much work it was going to be, so I set aside time for it. But then my wife says, "You spend so much time doing this, and I'm exhausted." And it's fun. I love doing it, and I like putting in the time to do it right because I want to do it right. But yeah, it is a lot of time.
Yeah, and and the thing is, like I said, it's not our jobs. It's not our life. if this was what we made our profession on, and this is what paid the bills, you know, it's it's one thing, and that's what does make it difficult at all, or at times. So, but again, I enjoy doing it. I know you enjoy doing it. But again, if you and like I said, if at times you and Ed want to do something, and it's not something that I'm interested in, go for it. I have my Monday. I have my Monday and I have my every other Thursday that I am definitely enjoying. So, all right, well, let's get out of here. Before I do leave, I do got to say, hey, you know what? Listen, Instagram is now a punk with underscore toys. So once you start typing it in, it should populate. I think most of the people that are actually interacting have already found it. I think I was already up to like 150 subscribers or followers, whatever it is. And again, you can follow whatever channels you like, but if you're a Viper Island fan, then you might want to rethink who you watch on YouTube. um, Patrick was saying your mic seemed a little fuzzy.
Yeah, just now I can understand it. There might be
Okay.
some damage in the left AirPod.
All right. I was about to say it didn't seem like it was fuzzy before, but um, what was the pick of? The pick was of um, the pick was
The Mace Windu head
yeah,
sculpt and the factory samples that had been shown on Instagram by somebody. I forgot who was the original one who used it, but it certainly wasn't the person who posted it and said that it was a copyright claim. They didn't own the rights to those photos.
yeah.
They weren't their photos, but they claimed it as theirs because they're assholes.
It's still on. What are you gonna say? No,
Yeah,
it's still on the Facebook group page.
yeah,
So
and it's all over Instagram too. Lots of other people posted it too. So
yeah, I mean, again, it's again, in yeah, you know what? It's just
it's targeted harassment, is what it is.
yeah. I mean, again, like if the guy just would stop lying about shit and making stuff up and then deleting it, no one would care. If he took half the time to not try and be first and not try and say something, hoping that something sticks to the wall, so he could say, "Hey, I'm the first," no one would fucking no one would fuck with him. No one would say shit about him. I mean, what is Chaz gonna say about you if you're not being a dick? Nothing. you
Yeah.
know. so, but yeah, you'll find me on Instagram, and like I said, that'll be the backup account unless if I don't get my main account back. And my biggest concern about the main account, again, I don't really worry about the subscribers or the followers, but there are a lot of messages that I have in there with people.
Yeah.
And there's some of the reels and stuff. All the pictures. I mean, the account's still up. I can still go there, screenshot everything if I really wanted them. But most of that stuff is, you know, hey, look at this. This video's up. This video's up. This review's up. That's what I use the Instagram for. That's what I use the. Now you're getting old. That's what I'm using the Instagram for, you Sonny. Anyway, before we leave, Matthew, where can they find you at?
I am at Memo's Action Figure Blog on Instagram. That's usually where I hang out, or here with Punk with Toys. So yeah, check out some photos. I got some cool holiday stuff coming up. But yeah, well, I'm doing twice a week GI Joe photo shoots and some Turtle Tuesdays and stuff like that. So I've always got something coming every day.
Yeah, Matthew does wonderful pictures. I put pictures up. I try, and I'm like, hey, look at this angle. As Ed will probably tell you, you need to leave your chair. But hey, if you noticed, all his stuff has actually been at my kitchen table. But anyway, we're gonna get out of here. This Monday, we'll be live again. The topic it's really not a topic as much as I'm just gonna be giving my shout outs and my thanks to. This is my thanks. This is my first full year, and since I won't be doing Chrstmas because it lands on Monday, this would be the last show of the year. I act like I'm going to be missing so much time. Because then when I come back, it's going to be the show that you get to watch me watch Michigan football and can see how distracted I get and see if I get really angry or really happy. So it might be a good watch. You know what? A matter of fact, I might start taking steroids the week before just to amp it up and make it a good live stream. So, but anyway, we will all catch you next time. Again, you guys all know where to find me on Monday. IG. Lucas is asking for a link to your IG because you'll never find it. It's Mamu, like Shamu. We're holding on because I believe Matthew is typing in it right now.
Yeah, I mean it's Mamu's action figure blog. I can send it to you later, James. Are you on Instagram? I'll send it to you.
If you look on my Instagram, you'll see that he makes posts. So it's Mamu. Like you can't, yeah. Or just message me, and I'll give it to you. I still do have a Facebook account.
That might be it.
Asshole hasn't got me there yet. All right, guys. Have a wonderful night. There it is. Is it a clickable link?
No, it didn't look like it was. I don't know.
Yeah.
I must have done something wrong in there. Oh well.
I can put .com at the end.
Yeah.
If you can't find it, just hit me up, Matthew or James. Matthew, you are talking to me. All right, yeah, and well, we don't have to say Merry Christmas yet, Fatred, because there's still one more show. Actually, there's 2 shows before Christmas, but because also next Thursday I have Ryan Sweeney, Dreadnought Ryan, coming on.
Dreadnought Ryan.
Yeah,
Great
see,
dude.
this is why I talked too long. We got done in 2 hours. Should have left. All right. You guys have a wonderful night. We will see you Monday. Oh, you know what? This weekend we will get the Fire Team out. That review will go out as soon as I get it tomorrow. All right. Talk to you later.